Alright guys, TacticalRab here again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Modern Warfare 2 releases tonight sometime, and Infinity Ward are at it again with some of the changes they are seemingly making here ahead of release. But also OpTic Coach is confirming they will have a replacement for Cinder for the upcoming season. A new coach will be confirmed over the coming days. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. And yes, Modern Warfare 2 comes out today or tomorrow, whenever the last Call of Duty game for a good couple of years, it seems, as it stands. Now, firstly, let's look at some camos. Honestly, blows my mind. They've done a pretty good job with these whole mastery camos. Don't want to give Infinity Ward too much credit, but they look kind of nice in fairness. There's even these ones here, the gold, and all these other ones. And I'm like, well, we saw the other day what the CDL camos look like. Can you not get the same lads that make these camos to make the CDL camos so they actually look somewhat good? I don't know. Like, maybe that's just wishful thinking massively. But yeah, these camos look pretty nice. But why can't all the camos look nice? I guess it's intentional, right? What they do is they put the anime camos and all this type of stuff into the game to be a paid thing, and then they make those things really good, and even the paid CDL camos, they just don't make as good for some reason. But anyway, these are some camos in the game. Gives me some optimism that they might be able to do a decent job with the CDL camos, maybe down the line if they make some better ones at some point, because the rumors we saw recently were not optimal, let's say. So yesterday I said to you guys last night that Dead Silent is still a field upgrade, which is still true. They have made some tweaks though, which in fairness I wasn't expecting, to the way it operates. At least they say they've made some tweaks. Not all of these are good though, these pre-launch tweaks, and we'll definitely see examples of that in a second. So last night they shared an update on changes they made. We saw, and I felt it rather unlikely they were going to change anything to do with Dead Silence, but they did of course get a lot of feedback on Dead Silence. So, you know, okay, it's a difficult one because to some degree you've got to say, okay, fair play, they're listening to some degree of criticism, but they clearly don't want to change, and they don't want to admit they've made any mistakes, right? I mean, they might change some things, but they're not going to admit that any of their design decisions were wrong. They're just going to tweak some values. So, you know, and also we shouldn't really be celebrating something that shouldn't be the case to start with, right? And I think we fall into that trap a lot as a COD scene lately, just because, well, you can honestly understand it with the way they've been making these games. But effectively, they're making some changes to audio, to visibility, and as Crane points out here, this is kind of the rundown of it, shortened overall range of enemy footsteps. So this again is a positive change in fairness. Like, look, the footsteps in general should be quieter and a lower range, but they've apparently reduced the range where you can hear them, so yeah, it probably shouldn't be as big of a deal as it has been before, but still might not be great. And then the Dead Silent activation sound, I mean, look, first of all, Dead Silent activation sound should be like an oxymoron or whatever. There's a better term for this type of stuff, but you can see how clearly this conflicts, right? Because you got Dead Silent and then it's making a sound. Now that sound has been drastically decreased, but it's like, why not just eliminate it? As I say, they don't want to admit they made a mistake in their design decisions, but they'll reduce the sound, and it's like, we shouldn't be celebrating this. There should be no sound, so I'm not going to celebrate it. And but still, I guess, you know, they are listening to some degree of feedback maybe. And then the other side is the visibility, the diamond icons added above enemies for better visibility. So you know, this is something we wanted the nameplates back, but I guess I think their decision was, let's make the visibility better so you can actually see enemies rather than needing the cop out of having the nameplate above their heads. I guess they've realized, you know what, we can't really improve the visibility that much, so we've got to put something above enemies' heads, which you know, this is a good thing as well. So there are some positive moves in here for sure. Now this is one of the things, if this is true, this is like so mind-blowing to me. And honestly, this is like getting to the point where if I'm a CDL franchise, I'm like, look, Activision, you're going to have to make a very good case as to why I actually have to pay the rest of this $25 million that the installments that I've not yet paid. Because apparently here, if you look into the game, this is in custom games. So look, I don't really care too much about the minimap, to be honest, because I'm not going to play pubs in this game anyway, even if I get it. And as it stands, I'm not getting this game. But if I do get it, then all I'll really be playing is Search and Destroy, customs, you know, game battles, maybe ranked play, right, if it actually is a thing, who knows. Now, of course, the idea would be that for competitive, we could turn on the normal minimap, right? That was an option in the beta, that in the kind of custom game lobbies or whatever people were getting into, you could change the settings such that, okay, whatever, they don't want the minimap to be normal for the real game, they think that it hurts casual players, whatever, but at least you can turn it on for custom games, right? Because in customs, you should have all the options in the world. Might as well just allow all the options to be there and let people decide what they want to play in custom games, right? Apparently not for Infinity Ward. In this individual clip right here that comes out, this may not be true when the game comes out, but it seems like it might be true that weapon pings on a minimap, you now only have two options, either off or UAV only. And it used to be, I think in the beta, you could turn this on and just make the minimap like normal, but you can't do that anymore. So great job, Infinity Ward. You've managed to completely remove the minimap feature, even from custom games, if people wanted to use it for whatever reason. So yes, for CDL gameplay as it stands, as it seems to be right here, we won't be able to turn on the normal minimap. So just absolutely fantastic stuff from Infinity Ward. What a great developer they really are. And if I'm a CDL org, I'm like, well, hang on a second. For the last couple of years, it's felt like as a competitive Call of Duty community, we've been practically ignored. Now it's like they're deliberately trying to sabotage the community. Like, what actually is this? The competitive scene wants the minimap as normal. Like, if they even want to pretend that they care about the competitive scene, then surely at least give us the option. I mean, why take the option away? Honestly, this is like Infinity Ward classic stuff. And it just blows my mind the fact that Activision actually let them get away with this stuff. So, yeah, I don't know what you guys think about this, because as I say, it's almost like they're trying to sabotage the scene to a certain extent. I'm sure that's not their intention, but that's kind of how it feels. So yeah, remarkable stuff, honestly. Now, this is the Crown Raceway overview. Just wanted to share this for you guys, because this is the map that apparently is the most promising. And I gotta say, having seen the overview, I'm like, this is the map that everyone was gassing up. So basically, this is like where the paddock is at the Singapore Grand Prix. This is the track, this is the start-finish line, the final corner, and then, you know, you've basically got the pit lane, and then you've got the kind of team buildings and offices and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, but and you know, it's basically just a rectangle, right? And I don't know, it looks really interesting. I'm not really sure where the power positions are. It's also pretty big, to be honest, so I don't know what this will play like for other game modes. I think it'll certainly be viable for like a search and destroy or something, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're running out of maps pretty rapidly in terms of what might be viable for all three game modes. Hopefully this map will be, and it looks promising enough, but like it doesn't really stand out to me. Like, you see the overview and you think, oh damn, that's going to be a Call of Duty classic map. That at least is the way I look at it. Now, this also to mention as well, so this is the weapon attachment tuning. I mean, this is what Infinity will put their effort into, but any attachment you put on your weapon, you can, or maybe not all of them, but some of them at least, you can tune them to your desire. So this is kind of the, what do they call this, the radar plot or whatever, for what the attachment does. And if you change the kind of length and the weight of the attachment, then it changes how it affects the pros and cons. So like, I don't know why this is necessary, but if you really want to fine tune the length of your Edge 47 grip down to minus 0.24 inches, then you can do exactly that nowadays. Now, the thing is, will this be usable? Because, I mean, look, in the pro scene, it tends to be that over time, the pros figure out what the best things are and they just all use them. Now, on this, it actually creates an interesting question, because not just do you have to figure out what the best attachment combo is, but you've also then got to figure out what the best tuning combo is on those attachments. And that is something that I don't think the pros will figure out really for the entire season, to be honest. Now, will this get GA'd or not? Because, as you can see here, the pineapple grip, you can change the weight, you can change the width of it, and it changes like a kind of what the stats are for the weapon, depending if you add some at certain ounces, add a couple of centimeters in length. I mean, look, I don't really understand why this is necessary, but apparently casual players like this, despite the fact that surely this is just way more complicated than Call of Duty needs to be. But I mean, yeah, still, that is the thing. Now, Clayster reckons it might get GA'd straight away. You'll think we're really using the weapon tuning stuff. Lamar's already got it GA'd. So that's the thing. Will the pros use this, or will they just say, you know what, this weapon tuning stuff is BS, like it's not even bother using it, right? Or will pros decide, you know what, actually, I want to add another, you know, 0.64 centimeters of length to my, I don't know, grip or whatever, and that's going to make me shoot straighter than you. So I don't know what the plan is going to be here, but yeah, will it get GA'd by the pros? Is accuracy already working on that? Or will they actually end up using all these great new features from Infinity Ward this season regardless? And even this I thought was pretty funny here. So already Patriot Hawk here is trying to say, you know, these guys trying to ruin it, make it the no fun league every year, whatever. What are you guys going to GA this year? Yeah, I think you should stop us, Patriot 11 Hawk here. So I thought it was pretty funny. And Sasha doesn't even really get involved in this stuff anymore, but there is still a GA community to some degree that will have their say when the game comes out. There is going to be a lot of stuff I'm sure they are going to want to ban from the competitive circuit. Let's talk about coaches for the upcoming season. Firstly, this Boston Breach have confirmed B-Sport Josh will be joining as their assistant coach, formerly part of, I think, Paris, like early on. Now he's going to be coming in not just as the head coach of the Boston Academy, but also the assistant coach to Zed over at the Boston franchise. Really cool stuff. Congrats to Josh and the guys over there. That now leaves this as the list, plus of course B-Sport Josh alongside Zed over at the Boston side. Moke's orgs therefore having at least two guys, a head coach and assistant coach. Some FaZe like have a lot more than that, like search and destroy analysts, this type of stuff. I don't think Equip anymore, that was over at Seattle as their search and destroy guy, is there anymore. But also OpTic have confirmed they are planning to bring something in. Rambo said over the last couple of weeks conversations have been had. They've effectively made their mind up, and announcements will come soon as to who their final member of their coaching staff potentially is going to be.
Are you going to coach alone this year, or are you still searching for someone extra? Someone extra is going to be a part of things. I can't really speak much to this, but should be there was some moves being done in the offseason. Let's just put it that way. I think everyone's gonna be pretty excited about what we got working on.
So who might OpTic potentially bring onto the coaching staff? The Cinder situation was quite interesting because it seems like he effectively decided to leave. There were some questions as to whether, like, the monetary reason, right, whether he wasn't getting paid enough, whether he wanted to go to an organization and take a bit more of a leading role in the way the coaching staff was managed. He's gone over to the New York Subliners to kind of be on level terms, it seemed, with Guerrillas as kind of their joint coaching situation for the upcoming season. So Cinder leaves OpTic, goes over to New York. Therefore, OpTic needs some replacement. It's quite clear, really, that one coach has a lot to handle, especially Rambo this past season had a lot on his plate already, let alone trying to come up with strats and, do the stats and the analytics and also manage the personalities of the team, look at search and destroy. There's a lot more there than, one man can really manage, especially when you're dealing with personalities and this stuff as well. So that's why Cinder was obviously a valuable asset. The team valued his kind of contributions greatly, and now JP has been one of the guys that's been linked to this organization, formerly analyst for, back in the day, he used to work for COD Stats and stuff on the MLG side, and then he went to New York as their analyst for a couple of years. Now he's looking for options. There have been links or people linking JP to OpTic, so whether that comes through, I don't know. But if JP does come through as effectively an analyst, then, do they still need an assistant coach? Should they go for a 3-man coaching staff situation? Because FaZe have 4, obviously Minnesota have 3 or whatever, and Toronto have done that in the past as well, to seemingly decent success. So that's a question they will have to answer, but yeah, definitely intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below on who they might well sign up. Just to mention this also from iLLeY, I thought was kind of interesting. Me, Anton, Brandon, that of course being iLLeY, Shotzzy and Dashy, need 1 for the S&D kickoffs tomorrow, effectively tonight. Now, interesting really that Scump isn't playing in this, whether he's, just taking a couple of days off. In fairness, the kickoff tourneys, look, at the end of the day, do the kickoff tournaments really predict particularly well who's going to win champs? Not really, so I don't really blame Scump, not playing in them necessarily, taking a few days with his fiance or whatever the case is. But interesting really that Scump isn't deciding to play in these. I thought it'd be pretty fun to see how, if the entire OpTic team were going to play the S&D kickoffs, maybe Scump's got something else planned for the next couple of days before he's going to get into the Modern Warfare 2 grinds. But every second counts to some degree because the season starts early this year, so you want to crack on with the advantage as quickly as possible. Just to mention, this also I thought was kind of funny really just around the whole, kickoff tournaments, because some of the tourneys that are put on by CDL franchises and kind of approved by the CDL, you're not allowed to play with your full roster. Means you've got to usually have a couple of pros and then a couple of content creators. The funny thing is that the content creators are often rather good at the game. Crowder, of course, Replays formerly, and then Merc, former pros. They are content creators, so just, team of 2 content creators looking to get carried by some pros. And even Envoy was looking for someone to help, and Formal said, I'm a creator, right? Because technically Formal isn't a COD pro, therefore he counts under the content creator heading. So we could get some pretty fun teams over the coming days. And just to mention this before we close out here from Brian's stats, top 50 highest KDs in a grand final series of all time. The highest ever is Formal, Stage 3 playoffs 2014, was a dominant force at the end of Ghost. And we get some other crazy stats here actually from grand finals performances. Some of the most impressive to me actually come a little bit further down here. If we get to 23-24, this is Bance and Insight respectively. When Bance had a 1.44 in Major 2 against FaZe over 8 maps or whatever it was to take down FaZe, maybe it was 7 maps or whatever, in that series. And then Insight dropped a 1.44 for the loss at Major 5. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.